listening to Unravel with Natly Denise.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Nightly with Natly. And I'm wearing my sunglasses at night. Sure am. What's going on, Rana? What's going, American Misfit? Today, I got that busy. Where I didn't put no makeup on. I didn't brush my hair. Like, literally, guys, this is me at my most vulnerable state in my most natural habitat. I was like, okay, what am I going to do? I'm actually producing a video right now. I did a interview with 𝘏𝘶𝘮𝘮𝘢. That's right. The one and only 𝘏𝘶𝘮𝘮𝘢. Have a seat right there. Actually did this interview a couple weeks ago, but then there was a venue switch for the, for the event that we're hosting this Saturday. So by the way, if you guys are willing to support and learn about human trafficking, learn from survivors, hear from survivor stories, learn from traumatologists. I mean, it's going to be a great session. So anyway, I did this podcast with 𝘏𝘶𝘮𝘮𝘢. I'm actually going to meet him on Friday and Saturday, which is going to be so exciting. And I'm going to be speaking at this event, which is going to be pretty pivotal, I think. I think this is going to be really life-changing. Maybe if you guys have seen me for a while, then you know, like, I've come a long way. Even for the little bit that I do have, I've come a long way. I've been working at this for a long time. Which brings me to my monologue. Okay, it ain't no coincidence that I'm wearing my sunshades at night. They're also hater blockers. Uh-oh. Hey, Keem, what's going on? Thanks for modding for me. Appreciate you. These are hater blockers, everybody. Muchachos y muchachas, boys and girls. Oh, these little baby hairs right here. These baby hairs are being haters right now. That's what's going on right now. They just don't want to see me succeed. They don't want me to be great tonight. Anyway, I was just thinking about this, like, right before coming on. I'm like, you know what? I really, like, the reason why I keep going is because I truly don't care what people think. And it really is a superpower. When you don't care about what people think, it really is like this freight train for people to get on with their goals. And listen, like, I say this out of humility because I know that I'm not big. I'm not anything like that. Like, I'm still a regular schmegular person. I just have a platform that I operate on. Thank God. I've been doing this for a year now. But what I've learned through all this is, like, no matter what, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you change. It doesn't matter what you tweak. It doesn't matter what advice is given to you by, strangers. You're always going to dissatisfy somebody no matter what. So you might as well do what makes you you. You might as well do what makes you most authentic. And like, I was thinking about this today because it's like, I'm learning. Hey, what's up, Rocky? Dang, Rocky hasn't been on in a while. What's going on, Rocky? Rocky's my friend. Rocky's been my ride or dies for a long time. So, we just, through this journey, we just know that you're never going to be able to satisfy everybody. So you might as well be the most authentic self that you are. You might as well be yourself and not try to satisfy everybody. Not even try to, like, don't even pay attention to the haters. You know what I mean? My past couple weeks, it's like, and that actually makes them more aggravated that they get no attention, that they don't get named, that they don't show up in your feed, that they don't cause the most drama, they don't affect you mentally. It's a win-win because you don't care. You're still being you. You're still being your authentic self. And they don't get the negative light either because they want light no matter what. No, Rocky, I love it. Rocky said, all facts, no printer. Let me get this. All facts, no printer. So anyway, I was just thinking that I'm like, this is why I just continue pushing. I continue doing what I do because there's always going to be haters. And just because they're not doing what you're doing, just because they're not doing anything of significance that's going to affect their local environments or the humanitarian rights or anything like that, they're going to go and pick on someone else who is doing something. I find that remarkable. And the moment that you point that out, they turn screechy like wild banshees. But it's the truth. So you might as well be your authentic self. Let's get into the news today. Yeah. All facts, no printer. And then she put some fax machines there. All facts. Keem says, all facts. Susan says, exactly. All right, let's get into the news. So I found this actually interesting. I found this yesterday, but I just got so tired. I was like, I'll just do it tomorrow. But this is from the Daily Mail. Interesting perspective on how woke Hollywood has gotten. And this person who is making this commentary, I always have a hard time with this chair. This person who's making this commentary is just putting it in realistic fashion how the entertainment industry is ultimately going to fail because they care just so much about diversity and putting the right people in place, all these things in check and all these things that they're losing the creativity factor. And so this person, Peter Kiefer and Peter Savodnik, Hollywood will barely dare whisper it, but the woke revolution that has driven out the white men and ensures that every production is ideologically sound will kill the entertainment industry, writes Peter Kiefer and Peter Savodnik. Recently, and this is rare, this is a rarity. I don't go to the movies very often, but I was too curious. I was really, really curious about that 355 movie. Because it was like there was a weird little circumstance with like the movie scheduling and all that. So I was just like, okay, what's this movie going to be about? Let me go watch it. So I bought a matinee ticket to the 355. Let me actually go full screen on this because y'all actually probably want to hear about my rants on the 355. The 355 is a movie. It has Jessica Chastain. It looked like Charlie's Angels, but there was 5, right? For those of you that are wondering why I have my sunglasses on, it's because I was so busy today. I had no time for nothing, not even an inch of time. So I was just like, you know what? Slap on the glasses, get on with your podcast. So anyway, the 355, it was a movie in which it was basically the plot of Die Hard, Live Free or Die Hard. I'm sorry, Die Hard, Live Free or Die Trying, something like that, with Bruce Willis, that guy from Dodgeball. You know that movie? So that was actually, that movie, I would rather go rewatch that movie. But this is basically the plot of that movie that, some malicious entity gets this computer chip thing that controls like every single aspect of our technology. And that if it lands in the wrong hands, that basically the world's going to end. And so it's up to 5 feministas to save the world. And they're all fit, they're all tall, they're all like, whatever. And it was just so forced. You could tell it was so forced because it was like, we have to include a white woman, a black woman, a Hispanic. Well, Penelope Cruz is technically not Hispanic, but she played a Colombian in the movie, a German woman, and then a Chinese woman. Literally every single race was, in this movie. But the thing about it, like, it's all great and dandy, right? Like, if you guys want inclusion, like, I completely get it. I completely understand, like, the inclusion factor, all these things. There's certain things that, it did some good with the inclusion because, and guess what? Look, I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent, but it wasn't our fault that there wasn't inclusion in like commercials and movies and all that. That's the Hollywood's fault. I find it funny that everybody's like, oh my gosh, we got to, inclusivity. It's like, no, you heifers over there in Hollywood didn't cast inclusivity. So then you want to blame other people like us, normal everyday Joes and Joannes, you know, everyday Bettys, if you will. You want to blame us for not being inclusive? No, it was y'all. Y'all the ones who make the movies and cast the people. What are you talking about? So anyway, that was a little rant, but bringing it back to this movie. You know, they focus so much on casting, you know, the white woman, the black woman, the Hispanic woman, the Chinese lady, the German woman, you know, to include every single race. They lost completely on like the creativity, the plot, the action. And this movie was apparently like $75 million to make, the 355. I never had seen a trailer besides like that weird post that I posted on my Instagram. I probably generated more wanting to see that movie than their actual promotion ever did. Isn't that sad? I indiscreetly promoted the movie. But it was such a bad movie. It was so bad that I walked out of the theater. I forgot to mention that part. It was so bad that I walked out of the theater. This is a matinee movie. I didn't spend that much on the movie ticket. But the acting was horrible. Penelope Cruz, horrible. Jessica Chastain, too cheesy. Like these things, it was just too like feminist for me. It was too girl power for me. I know that sounds weird, but I just don't like that. I don't like that. I like, you know, like co-ed, like diversity. There's that one cool chick who can do that thing, you know, that one cool dude with that profession who could do that one thing, but not like, oh, we're all women and we all are going to save the world because we're women. It just like, it's so cheesy to me, overdone. Anyway, that was my rant, but the 355 is horrible. Don't go see it. Don't go see it. Don't go see it. So a few years ago, the editor-in-chief of The Hollywood Reporter pitched the story to the newsroom. He had just come back from lunch with a well-known agent who had suggested the paper take a look at the unintended consequences of Hollywood's efforts to diversify. Those white men who had spent decades writing scripts which had turned into blockbuster movies and hit television shows were no longer getting hired. The newsroom blew up. The reporters, especially the younger ones, mocked the idea that the white men were on the outs. The editor-in-chief, normally self-assured, immediately backtracked. He looked rattled. It was a missed opportunity. The story wasn't about white guys not getting jobs, nor was it really about the economics of Hollywood. It was about the stories Hollywood told and distributed and streamed on screens around the globe every day. It was about the massively lucrative industry that had been birthed by outsiders and emerged out of lemon groves into a glamorous, glitzy mosh pit teeming with chutzpah. What's chutzpah? What is chutzpah? What's chutzpah? Anyway, it turned into that. Hollywood has always pushed boundaries. From the 1947 Gentlemen's Agreement, which confronted anti-Semitism, to Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, 1967, which tackled interracial marriage, All in the Family, which grappled with race and women's liberation. The original run of Will and Grace, let's continue on. I don't want to read all this. I want to get straight to the point. So in September of 2020, the Academy launched its Representation and Inclusion Standards entry form, or RAISE. And that's where I think things are going downhill, because now you guys see, like, you know, if there are more of this particular race, like at the Emmys or at the Golden Globes, like it's racist. And it's like, no, this is like, first of all, it's up to the casting directors, right? Like the casting director should actually, I'm gonna write that down. I should make a piece on this on my YouTube. Casting directors, because I don't think a lot of people are talking about that, right? Every time I have an idea, I have to write it down, because if not, then it gets lost. I should actually make a piece where I'm talking about this. Like throughout time, we've seen all these movies, we've seen all these things happen. It's the casting directors that should have the heat, not the entire like economy or just generic people in general. It's these casting directors. They're the ones who seek out a particular person for a role. You know, the diversity, the, you know, whatever pairs up with the character. You know, that's not us, it's them. But anyway, now they're saying like, okay, there's not enough this person or this race at their award shows and all that. And it's like, It's not about that. It's about who acts the best in a movie, who does the best performance, who's the best lead. It's not about like I'm Mexican American, so I should like, be in that room. Like, no, did I earn that? Like, it's about merit. But that's where they're faltering. For a movie to qualify for Best Picture, producers not only had to register detailed personal information about everyone involved in the making of that movie, but the movie had to meet the Academy's 4 diversity standards, touching on everything from on-screen representation to creative leadership. This is where we're going to fail. Not we, but, Hollywood. An Academy spokesperson said only select staff would have access to data collected on the platform. The Academy explained that movies failing to meet these standards would not be barred from qualifying for Best Picture. So first of all, they're putting on filters first. Okay, they have to be Mexican American, they have to be Black, they have to be, they have to be Asian, they have to be Middle Eastern, all these things. So it's like you're already putting these forefronts at the very beginning. You're already filtering down on who cannot be included. And then out of that diversity pool, it's like these people, I'm not saying that there's no, let me catch myself before somebody watches and they're like, oh my gosh, you heard what Natly Denise said about diversity. It's not that. It's the fact that you're looking first to the color of their skin and not the content of their acting. It's kind of like the same thing as, how Martin Luther King said, you shouldn't look at the color of their skin, but the content of their character. Well, in this case, you should be looking at the content of their acting, their professional skills, not at the color of their skin. So if we're looking at that first, of course, that's going to be a big time factor as to what is, what it's eliminating in the industry when it comes to awards. But producers are complying, it says. Meanwhile, CBS mandated that writers' rooms be at least 40% Black, Indigenous, and people of color or BIPOC for the 2021-2022 broadcast season, and that 50% of the 2022 and 2023 season. So they're basically diversifying. But the heavy handed mandates and databases, the shifting culture, in which pretty much is all white men were assumed to have gotten their jobs because they had right tennis buddies or zip code or skin color, raised the possibility of a new kind of clubbiness. When asked whether a Ray crew was replacing a kind of exclusion with another, Tobler sidestepped the question, saying that the organization had sought to amplify underrepresented professionals. Oh, so they're basically saying, they're basically saying that they're getting rid of all Caucasian people, or they're trying to, minimize the hire of Caucasian people. This is not how you do it. This is not how you do it. You don't like, this is exact racism. You don't not hire people because of their race. So he's this writer says, this is not just among the high command companies like Netflix, Amazon, and Hulu, but every level of production. How do we survive the revolution? By becoming the most ardent supporter. The best way to defend yourself against the woke is out-woke everyone, including the woke, one writer said. Suddenly, every conversation with every agent or head of content started with, is everyone BIPOC attached to this? The old-timers accustomed to being on the inside and the non-BIPOC, I hate that, BIPOC, up and comers afraid that they'll never get there. They were part of confused, one part angry, and 10,000 parts scared. Everyone has gone so underground with their true feelings about this, said Mike White, a writer and director behind the hit HBO comedy drama The White Lotus. And that's typically the thing with Hollywood. There are some like underground people with like that have the same views that we do. Or like, I don't even like, not that we do, but like normal views, whatever. Like, let's just call it for what it is. We have normal views, and they just won't speak up because they're too afraid. But that's in every single industry. But I already got to the meat and potato of this article. The way to combat it is we outwoke the most woke. I think we just create our own industries. How about that? That's what I think. I think that's fair. Let's pivot on to the next story. But I just don't like the notion of us forcibly diversifying our content just because, you know. I think that that's going to kill the creativity and the you know, the direction, if you will, of a production. And it's all about just you know, whether or not somebody is a certain color. No, it's not going to be a good production just because you're basing it off of someone's skin color. That's crazy. Not off of the ideas. All right. We're going to just state this real quick because Hunter Biden Hunter Biden comes in and out of the headlines. Hunter Biden, his ex-wife, Kathleen Bull, will release a damning memoir to run up the midterms about the breakdown of their 24-year marriage, his affair with Beau's widow, and the heavy toll of his sex, drugs, and strip club addictions. So not only do we have Hunter Biden's laptop from hell, but his ex-wife is going to write and pen a memoir on their relationship. I can only imagine that there's going to be some juicy details that are unveiled in this memoir. And best believe I am going to I'm going to listen to this audiobook. I hope it becomes an audiobook. I'm trying to make it a point to listen to more books. I have no time to actually read books. So I'm going to try to listen to it. But anyway, Hunter Biden's ex-wife, Kathleen Bull, will release a memoir in the run-up to the midterm elections about the breakdown of their 24-year marriage. People magazine reported Wednesday that Bull has written a book that will hit bookshelves in June, less than 5 months before this year's midterm elections. The title is If We Break, a memoir of marriage, addiction, and healing. The book will discuss the heavy toll drug addiction takes on relationships. Hunter Biden spent the couple's money on drugs, alcohol, strippers, and prostitutes, and engaged in an affair with their dead brother, Beau's wife, Haley. I'm just going to read this part. Bull, his ex-wife, accused Hunter of having an affair, being emotionally abusive, and using Viagra after she discovered his relationship with his brother's widow. Emails obtained by thedailymail.com have shown. She tried for years to try to help him beat his addiction to crack cocaine and booze before he found out that he was having a relationship with his sister. I think this meant to say, I always catch typos. Daily Mail, you got a typo. They meant to say before she found out that he was having a relationship with his sister-in-law, Hallie. I can only imagine this is going to be a hot mess. This is going to be a hot mess tea spill. And I want to know the details. I want to know all the details. So I'm here for the tea. I'm going to listen to that. It comes in audiobook. It should. All right, pivoting on. This is celebrity news only because this is weird, of course, in light of what we've learned over the past 2 years. Yeah? Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly are engaged. They're engaged. And to celebrate these two, they drank each other's blood after the intimate proposal. Okay. Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly are officially engaged after a year and a half of dating. The 35-year-old actress made the announcement on Wednesday by sharing a video about their intimate proposal with her Instagram following, citing that it took place on Tuesday, January 11th. Fox noted that her post a lengthy caption that she and the 31-year-old musician drank each other's blood to celebrate the occasion. I'm sorry, excuse me, what? The footage shows Kelly getting down on one knee in a location special to the couple as Fox stood in shock with her hands over her mouth. She eventually dropped to her knees and allowed MGK, Machine Gun Kelly, to put the ring on her finger. Where's the part about the blood? This is the ring right here. You know, I thought about little intimate details for you guys. What? Before I got engaged the first time, when I got engaged the first time, I actually thought about an emerald, like a green emerald, like from that movie, Crazy Rich Asians. After watching that movie, I was like, oh my gosh, I want a green emerald cut emerald. Like that's what I want, like a big juicy emerald. and I've changed since then. But yeah, I just see this and I'm like, oh, you know what? I actually did want an emerald for my first engagement, but not anymore. I want something different. I want to get to the part where they have the blood. Blood. Okay, here it is. She continued, unaware of work and sacrifices the relationship would require from us, but intoxicated off of the love and the karma. Somehow, a year and a half later, having walked by through hell together and having laughed more than I ever imagined possible, he asked me to marry him. And just as in every lifetime before this one and in every lifetime that will follow it, I said yes. Continued on. And then we drank each other's blood. What? And then we drank each other's blood, it says. So they've shown a lot of PDA. I think you guys have seen a lot of these. That's a pretty dress, by the way. Not gonna hate. I'm not gonna hate. It's a pretty dress. I think Megan Fox is a really, really beautiful woman. But they've obviously shared some PDA like in front of people on these things. But now they're saying that they had a pattern of bloodletting, famously gifted the hitmaker a necklace with a vial that contained a drop of her blood. I wear your blood around my neck, captioned MJK, Machine Gun Kelly, who shared an image of the eyebrow-raising gift with his 9.2 million followers. They've also made an effort to blend their families by spending time with each other's children over the past year and a half. Most recently, Megan spent New Year's Day with her fiance and his tween daughter, Cassie, in New York City. Continue. Oh, this is the vial that they're talking about. So they have a history together with blood. I don't know about that. Let me know what you guys think. Oh, yikes. Blood drinkers, they just push it right in front of your face, don't they? They had vials of their blood and on necklaces. Yeah, I do remember a Machine Gun Kelly's post, or seeing that circulate, but that's just weird. And then we drank each other's blood, they say. Strange. All right. Let's get into the sexual exploitation headlines. This is now the Daily TrafficK, where I bring you the latest in human and sex trafficking news. All right. Prince Andrew, we had learned today that, I guess you guys don't know. Maybe you don't know. But we were actually awaiting a judge's decision whether or not he was going to throw or keep Virginia Roberts Giuffre's case against Prince Andrew. Now, it was actually supposed to be last Tuesday. So this decision took about a week for the judge to reach a conclusion. But today we learned that the judge is not going to throw out the case, meaning that this case is going to persist against Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew is probably going to want to try to settle with Virginia Roberts Giuffre. She will probably reject that just so that way they can have a full out trial. So now they're in a panic. Prince Andrew, coming from the Daily Mail. Prince Andrew was facing the biggest gamble of his life after a judge in the U.S. unequivocally rejected a bid to save his sex abuse case thrown out of court. Last night, the royal lawyers, on both sides of the Atlantic, were locked in crisis talks after their motion to dismiss the civil lawsuit brought by Virginia Roberts was denied in all respects, meaning that the case is now heading towards the unedifying trial this autumn. The Duke's team now have a stark choice, legal experts said. They can either take the risk to the press ahead and attempt to clear his name by going in front of a jury, which means Andrew would have to face the humiliation of having to give public testimony against the lurid allegations of rape and sexual assault on oath. Or he could try to persuade Miss Roberts to accept a multi-million dollar settlement in order to avoid further damaging the reputation of the monarchy, but have the stain of proceedings remain with him forever. However, her New York attorney, David Boyce, last night indicated that his client was determined to go to trial, saying she wants to achieve justice. I thought so. Is he sweating now? Oh, Susan, you got jokes, but I need to actually, you know what I need to do? I need to hook up I have a soundboard. I need to hook this up. I could put little like sound effects. It's just that this is a USB mic, so it can't go into the soundboard. So I'm gonna have to figure something out. But I have a soundboard and it can do little things. Anyway, is he sweating now? Susan, you're so funny. I'm sure he is. I'm sure he's not just sweating, but probably talking his pants. The Duke's team now have a stark choice. Moving on, or he could try to persuade Miss Roberts, and her lawyer has stated that no, she wants justice. She's out for throats and wigs. One former federal prosecutor said this is a very, very bad day for Prince Andrew. Mitchell Epner told Sky News there are only bad options in front of him, and he has to decide which one of these are bad options is his best bad option. The pressure for Andrew to settle out of court and spare the Queen the ignominy of sordid public trial was growing fast last night. As he warned, he was in the last chance in the saloon and the towels over the taps. It was also emerged last night that the Duke is set to pay $10 million from the sale of his Swiss chalet in an out-of-court settlement with Miss Roberts. We want to know why? Because his mama ain't paying his bills, she said. She said, nope, I'm not paying that. You want to get out there? You got in this? You're going to get out of it yourself. Although the Queen has implicated herself already, because she has put him at her right side on the way to church, like shortly after an allegation. Like, she has covered so much for Prince Andrew. She's already implicated herself in this whole thing. So you can't say that she didn't know or any of these things. Oh, no. Queen, you ain't gonna get away with this. We've seen you too. So anyway, they're going for Prince Andrew. They are doing it, and we should see. I hope it's a more eventful trial this autumn, if it does happen this fall or this winter. The Ghislaine Maxwell trial, we learned a lot. There were new details that were, extrapolated from this trial. But I think that we want to see more explosive happenings with, the whole Epstein saga, and of course with the royals. Interesting. All right, pivoting on to News Channel 8, WFLA. Matt Gaetz' ex-girlfriend testifies to grand jury in sex trafficking probe. You guys know who Matt Gaetz is. He's a representative. Representative Matt Gaetz, an exclusive report by NBC, says Rep. Matt Gaetz' ex-girlfriend testified Wednesday before a federal grand jury investigating him for sex crimes, a major development that suggests the Department of Justice may be moving closer to indicting him. The ex-girlfriend, whose name is being withheld by NBC News to respect her privacy, has been in talks for months with prosecutors about the immunity deal. Under a possible deal, she would avoid prosecution for obstruction of justice in return for testifying in the investigation into whether Gaetz in 2017 had a sex with a 17-year-old female for money, and whether months later he and others violated a federal law prohibiting people from paying for prostitutes overseas. Legal sources familiar with the case say Gaetz is being investigated for 3 distinct crimes: sex trafficking a 17-year-old, violating the Mann Act, which prohibits taking women across state lines for prostitution, and obstructing justice. Interesting. What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about the whole Matt Gaetz situation? Honestly, I don't know enough to have a lot of opinion. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why I have that stance, because so far from what we know is that his friend, who is currently under, I think he's serving right now. I think he's serving right now, but his friend is actually the one who's like heavily implicating Matt Gaetz in this. And he's like, his friend was like, he worked, I think he was like a Fed. I think he worked for the government. He was like some sort of like comptroller or something like that. He had like a lot of resources to, have those governmental resources. He did stupid things like making fake IDs. This is not Matt Gaetz, but his friend. He made like fake IDs and all these things. And he's also being accused of, I guess like financial thing. I don't know. I can't tell you the details, but I think one of the things that his friend is also in trouble with is sexual exploitation. Now, his friend is implicating that, that Matt Gaetz is actually also he sex trafficked this girl, but they haven't really come out with like the stark, like, this is why we know he sex trafficked the girl. This is why we're, probably indicting him or all these things. Like, it's been very vague. There hasn't been like concrete, like on this day, this girl, they don't have to name the girl because of course she would be a minor at that time. But, on this day at this party, there would be like very specific details. He, solicited this girl. There's this text here, all these things. There are texts in saga, but again, I don't think that they're very specific on, I want to transaction this for transaction of the purchase. Now, I don't know. There might be things under seal right now, so I'm also not gonna put myself in that seat where I'm like, no, he didn't do it, or no, they're just making stuff up. But I would just like to see some more evidence, if you will. But if it is the case that he did purchase or transaction sex with a 17-year-old girl, everybody, all walks of life, it don't matter whether they're Republican or Democrat or whatever, blue, red, purple, doesn't matter. Everybody should get due justice. That is not something anybody gets away with. Ken asks, is the girl complaining or did they just find out that she was 17? That's the thing. I don't know. There's not a lot to go off of. There's not a lot to go off of right now. We can only speculate due to like, surrounding articles, so that they might be able to paint some picture, but there isn't a lot said right now about this case. So, but apparently they're moving close to an indictment. So I'm interested to see what details they do have on Matt Gaetz, if that is so. All right, coming from live5news.com. WCSC, Ladson man accused of distributing child sexual abuse material. This is coming from Ladson, South Carolina. Authorities have arrested a 19-year-old man who is accused of distributing child sexual abuse material. South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson announced the arrest of Aiden Michael Smith of Ladson on 20 charges connected to the sexual exploitation of a minor. Smith was arrested on January 10th after investigators received cyber tip line reports from the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children. Investigators state Smith distributed and possessed files of child sexual abuse material, officials with the Attorney General's office said. He is charged with 10 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor and second degree and 10 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor, third degree. Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force investigators with the Somerville Police Department made the arrest. The Attorney General's office said investigators with the Attorney General's office, also a member of the state's ICAC task force, assisted with the investigation. This is so sad because, this is a young man, 19 years old, has his whole life ahead of him, already like having that on his record. I mean, this is entirely sad. This just goes to show the pervasiveness of our culture. How much we have normalized this for even the younger generations, that now, younger generations will get into trouble like this because they're searching it. But it's also our society that normalizes this. But again, and what's wrong is wrong. And yeah, I mean, that sucks that you mess up your life like that so early on, you know? All right. And coming from WRBL, kidnapped Georgia teen is recovered in Alabama. Thank God. These are always great stories when the recovery happens. Coming from Georgia, a teen kidnapped from Georgia has been recovered in Alabama, according to officials at the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency. The 16-year-old was kidnapped from Clayton County, Georgia, and recovered in Montgomery, Alabama. Officials have identified the suspect responsible for kidnapping the teen as Ronald Rodas, age 41, of Louisiana. The teen's recovery came out when officers with the ALEA State Bureau of Investigation and officers with the Montgomery Police Department received information concerning the teen's whereabouts along with the description of the suspect's vehicle. Officers located the vehicle within the parking lot of a business located at 3619 Eastern Boulevard in Montgomery. After locating the vehicle, officers were able to rescue the kidnapped teen. Rodas has been arrested. Officials say that the investigation into kidnapping is ongoing. Good. Glad she's safe. Glad she's rescued. Always great when these stories end well with rescue. Hopefully she won't find herself in that situation again. Sometimes that does happen when, survivors don't get the right resources. So we can only hope for the right resources. All right. Well, tomorrow I will be more prepared. My hair will be washed and combed and looking nice. I'll even look better tomorrow. Okay. Sorry. Today was just like, I was slammed. I was inundated with things I had to take care of before this weekend. So with that being said, anyway, you guys have a great night or a great day if you're listening to me in the morning. I love you all. Thank you so much for your support. To support the show, you can go to natlydenise.com/donate. That's natlydenise.com/donate. This is a viewer funded show as well. So I appreciate everything for your support. And as always, thank you again for sharing the podcast, rating it 5 stars. I will catch you all in tomorrow's episode. God willing, God bless. I love you all. Mwah, mwah, kisses. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for tuning into Unravel with Natly Denise. Please give this podcast 5 stars.